This is part 2 of exercise 6 for Political Science 560. In the previous exercise, we went through the process of geocoding the various addresses for our community gardens. In this portion of the exercise, we'll be taking that list of geocoded addresses and converting it into a shapefile so that we can use it in MapWindow. So let's go ahead and we'll start off by launching MapWindow. I'm going to open up exercise number 5. And we're going to ignore these silly mismatches. So this is what our map project looked like at the end of exercise number 5. We of course had county commissioners, but most importantly we had our Guilford County census tracts symbolized by the median family income. All right, so we're going to go ahead now, we're going to add in the locations of the gardens. But to do that, I'm going to be using a plugin. Now, if you recall from our discussion of open source software, basically what a plugin is, it's a module of software that's been written by a user and then contributed to the product so that other people can use it as well. And the plugin we want, we're going to click Plugins. The plugin we want is one called Spatial Converter. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Plugins, Spatial Converter. And when I do, you'll notice that I have two new menu options here, one to import and one to export. We're going to be doing the import. So we're going to import. We're going to import from a CSV file. That's the text file that we were using before. We're going to find that file's location. And the location is, the file is the Community Garden Geocode. Field delimiter. You have to have really good eyes to see this, but basically what we're going to be telling it is, how does it know where an address stops and a street and a city stops and a zip code starts and things of that nature. And in the text file, there's commas in between each one of those fields, each one of those categories of data. And the very first drop down here is a comma. And so we're going to go ahead and pick comma, and then we're going to pick open file. Now we need to tell it what the X and Y fields are, essentially what the latitude and longitude is. And for some reason, by default, or however it figured it wrong, because the X field is not garden name. The X field is in fact longitude. And the Y field is latitude. So we'll go ahead and stick the coordinates on the shapefile just for fun, and we'll do our convert. It's asking us what name to call this. We're going to go ahead and we'll leave it named Community Garden Geocode. We'll save it. And it's gone ahead and converted all of our records and now has created a shapefile. We're going to ignore the missing projection file because it doesn't have a projection file yet, right? All we have at this point is some information with a latitude and longitude, but it doesn't know where to find those or where to place those on our map. So we'll go ahead and we'll ignore it and we'll pick OK. And then we'll go ahead and we'll close out of each one of these. So Community Garden Geocode now has been added to our map. You'll notice it's checked, however there's no points showing because they're not able to be displayed on our map. We're going to have to go through two steps here. First step is we're going to have to assign it a projection because it has no projection now. And then, well, let's be a little more specific. We're going to tell it what its projection is. It doesn't know what it is. Right now its projection is lat long, and so we're going to tell it that it's lat long. And then, once we've done that, then we'll be able to reproject it into North Carolina State Plain. This is exactly what we did, at least the second part, to reproject. This is what we did with the Tiger file, if you'll recall. So let's go ahead and we'll start by making sure we've selected Community Garden Geocode. We'll pick Toolbox. We'll open up Projections. We'll assign projection to a shapefile. We'll double click on it. It happens to be in a graphical projection called WGS84. This is probably the most popular one for lat long, and so that's the one we're going to be picking. And we will go ahead and we'll tell it that we're going to do the Community Garden Geocode. And I'm going to go ahead and assign it. So it's been successfully assigned to the WGS84. And you'll notice it says that up there. We'll go ahead and close it. Now, of course, we don't want to leave it as WGS84. We want to change it into state plane coordinates. So we're going to reproject a shapefile. And we've done this before, so I'm not going to belabor each one of these clicks. Just follow along with me. America, Northern America, United States of America, NAT 83, states, North Carolina. Make sure you double click on it so it looks right. It tells it down here, projection is NAT 83, North Carolina feet US. And then we're going to go ahead and pick the file we want to reproject, which is a community garden geocode. Pick OK, and then pick reproject. And it's done the reprojection for us. We'll go ahead and pick close, and we're going to then go ahead and add it to the map, add it to the project. And we'll close out of this. Let's go back and look at our layers. Okay, so I've got the community garden geocode, but it's not showing up on my map yet, right? Well, that's because this is the original one. This is the one that we projected into latitude and longitude. We don't want that one. We want the one we just reprojected, and that's a different file. Remember, that's how it was with the Tiger file too. So let's start off. Let's go ahead and remove the original file. We don't want that anymore. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the newly projected one. And I'm going to go to the folder for my class, datasets, community gardens, and here's the one that we want. This is the one which has been geocoded or been reprojected to NAT 83. And so we'll go ahead and double click on it. We're going to ignore this mismatch, which is not a legitimate error, and click OK. So you can probably start to see these gray dots on our map. This is the location of each one of the community gardens. Let's go ahead. We're going to change the symbology on this so we can see these a little bit better. And I'm going to do that by double clicking on it. I'm going to pick appearance. I'm going to go ahead and let's pick a blue. And we'll make a little bit larger size. Maybe 10 point. And then pick OK. Now we can see the location of the gardens a little bit better. So basically then, let's go ahead and review what we've done here. We've taken a list of addresses for each one of the community gardens. We have sent them to a geocoding service. The geocoding service looked up each one of the addresses, gave us back a new file, a new document, which had the original addresses along with the latitude and longitude. Then we took that document and we converted it into a shapefile using one of the plugins in MapWindow, and then we assigned it a projection since it didn't have one, and then we reassigned it to the projection that we're using for our project. And that pretty well covers the portion that I'm going to be doing for exercise number 6. You, however, have some more work to do, because your assignment from exercise number 6 is to generate for me a PDF file that shows this map and to upload that to Google Drive, just as we have the other exercises. Our next exercise that we're going to be working on next week will do all the analysis, and for that we're going to be buffering off of these points and we're going to be intersecting with parcels. It's all just going to be exciting. So I want to go ahead and get this piece of it straight first, make sure everybody has got the addresses for the gardens geocoded, and your map should look like this. One more thing we should do before we leave this exercise, let's go ahead and save this as exercise number 6 so we'll be able to come back to it next week. And if you'll recall how we do that, we go to Project, Save As. We're going to go to the folder where we've been saving all of our documents for all of our work for the class, under Lab Exercises. Now I have one out here called Exercise 6 because obviously I've done this exercise before, so I'm just going to go ahead and save her over the top of it. All right, great. So now we have exercise 6, and we have a good starting point for next week.